Mind of a Geek is brought to you by the new Mind of a Geek t-shirt. Get yours today at tiny.cc/igswag. The following radio program you're about to listen to is provided to you, the listener, by Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkedgeekstudios.com. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of season 4 of Mind of a Geek. I am your host, Nate, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Brandon. Brandon, how's it going?
I was hoping you were just going to play the drop, and I wouldn't have to say anything, but I am Brandon. There it is.
There we go. How are you this evening, sir?
Hey, man. Second show of the night. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
It's a little warm in here at this point.
It is.
But, you know,
we,
what are you going to do?
We caught ourselves up time-wise. We got a little late starting with All Geeked Up. But here we are. Another night of Mind of a Geek. Now, I want to ask, before we introduce our guest, I want to ask, because we had a slight discussion before we got into introducing the guest last week.
We could just talk for like 15 minutes and not even acknowledge that he's there like they do on
We'll
other
just
shows.
extend All Geeked Up.
Oh, by the way, there's someone here with us.
But you had said you live for Mind of a Geek. Do you still feel that way?
Do I still feel like I live for Mind of a Geek?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you.
Okay.
My existence ceases for 5 days, and then when I come back, I'm only here to podcast, and then I go back into my cage.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's kind of like friend of the show JF said. I'm kind of a pet, you know?
Because
you keep me in a cage all week, let me out the podcast, and I go back to the cage.
Because, see, if you live for Mind of a Geek, that means you live for podcasting, right? So podcasting is essentially your metaphorical life.
Sure.
Okay. Well, within your metaphorical life, I might have a metaphorical greater power.
I hope this is going somewhere.
It is. Now, I don't know if I'd go so far as to call him a Lord and Savior. Some people dispute that he's not even real.
You have to have faith.
You have to have faith. Now, everybody's heard of Jesus.
It was a slow burn, but here it comes.
But our guest tonight might be your savior of podcasting, because he is Deezus. Deezus from Deezus Take the Reel. Deezus, how's it going, dude?
Oh, it is going fantastic. It's your boy Deezus here. I was people's savior from shitty films. Was originally like the premise around it, but now I'm just saving you from everything. So let's do this. There we go.
I figured I'd play with the name a little bit. I figured I'd try something.
Can you say?
I'm glad you did. Most people don't like take advantage of it. A lot of people, it's funny, they just kind of roll with it. They're just like, yeah, Deezus. I'm like, nobody really even asks me about it. Nobody questions it. I'm into it.
Okay, so really quick in the chat.
Well, we're not ones of blind faith, you know? We need to question our gods.
Let's face it, Nate and Brandon are the Ross and Rachel of podcasting. I won't say which, though.
Well, you're obviously the power bottom, so, you know. That makes you Ross, right?
That makes you Ross, all right.
Power bomb's a weird term. It's never really made sense to me.
No, you really have to think about it for a minute.
Do you?
I think so.
Do you really?
I think what it is like two opposing...
It's a paradox, though, when you think about it.
No, man, it's like two opposing forces, right? So he needs to be at the bottom, pushing back, right? Power.
Hey, do you know why when a farmer has... Never mind.
He does so at the end of a cliff?
Why?
I know why.
So the goat will push back.
God damn, we're off to a good start. So anyway, you can say anything you want on this podcast.
Yeah, so you would ask...
I'm so glad. Like, the motto for Deezus Take the Reel is like, let's get weird. And this is all... I didn't even have to take it to the weird places yet. So this is fantastic.
We're praising you. We're talking about goats and cliffs and power bottoms.
Now's about the time where we're going to get a funny voice from Hugo to chime in.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten one yet.
I know.
Oh, boy.
Oh, shit.
There we go. So, anyway, Deezus or DeVaughn, I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll go with Deezus. Deezus is the fun one. That's your online
Deezus and DeVaughn.
pseudonym.
Yeah, that's Deezus is the persona.
Yeah,
if you will,
I
guess,
get it. But how close to Jesus and divine?
Yeah,
What is
Deezus and
happening?
DeVaughn, Jesus and
Oh
Divine.
my god.
All the connections are there.
It's a
Yeah,
sign,
for sure.
man. You're not like here to save me, are you?
No, you are not gonna get any pamphlets from me. Or I guess I'd have to email it to you, but that's a lot of work. Nah.
Dude, how have you not done like movie pamphlets as a promo for your
Holy shit.
podcast?
I do need to. I want to like handwrite them though. Like
There you go.
I want to handwrite these pamphlets for people.
Dude,
That's a great idea.
I realize we haven't even talked about your show yet, but that's fine. I was walking around Boston with my daughter yesterday, right? And there's like I don't know, it was as we got towards the city, and there's these, and it was like 90 and it was muggy as shit, right? So there's like every once in a while you run into these people and they have like these full stands with like all of these religious pamphlets, and they're in like full dress wear in like 90 degrees mugginess, and they're like waving, and so I'm like, so stand out there with your movie pamphlets.
I think that's see, like, and I'm a server, so I get like a lot of pamphlets all the time. They'll like put like their $2.50 shit ass tip, and then they'll put "Have a blessed day" with a pamphlet, and I'm like, that pamphlet, I can't give that to my landlord. Like, that doesn't really do much for me.
No, you know, it lets them continue their holier than thou nature, though. We did good today. We saved that boy. It's fine.
Yeah.
That young man there, he's saved.
Saved him for paying rent.
Saved.
So anyway, you, as people might have guessed, or if they don't know you already, you're a podcaster. You do a show called Deezus Take the Reel, which is a show that reviews and talks about movies. You occasionally have a guest on there, or do you frequently have guests on there?
More oftentimes than not, yeah, we have a guest on there. I do solo shows from time to time, but yeah, more oftentimes than not, there's a guest, or I have like, certain people that have been like kind of like a rotating like panel as well.
I assume you have them watch the movie and then you guys review it.
So basically the way it works is whenever I have a guest on, I'll just tell them to pick a movie they want to talk about. I'm like, this can be their favorite movie, it can be a movie they just want to talk about, a popular movie, whatever. And then I'll pick a movie similar to it, and that like creates the theme for that episode, because every episode has a different theme too. And then after that, so that's what the stories at the end will be set about. The game at the beginning will be set around that theme as well. And then in that middle portion, we just talk the movie.
Cool.
And then, like, we try to relate it to their life, why they picked that movie, things like that. And it's beginnings usually like an interview portion as well. So you get a little bit of everything. I like to like say it's like if Jimmy Fallon like did like a movie show. Like that's what I'm shooting for.
I see.
Fun, relaxed, humorous. I like it. So you obviously are a big movie fan. In the pre-show, we briefly talked about the wall behind you, which is covered in movie tickets.
Yeah.
So now, with the nature of your podcast, and obviously you want to talk about movies, and so whether they're past movies, present movies, upcoming movies. So I could tell you, in my own personal opinion, so you said you've started collecting those 3 years ago.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times. Like I'll do it like a random year, but then I was just like, I'm just gonna do it every year. So yeah, I've been doing it the past 3 years.
So I can tell you, in my opinion, that there aren't that many movies worth going to see in the last 3 years on your. So are you someone like, are you very open with the movies that you enjoy, or are you someone who will just like, look, I want to see it to talk about it, to give it a chance? Like where do you fall?
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up in the movie theaters, so that's why I appreciate going to the movies a lot. I think I'm kind of a film purist, I guess, because I believe that most directors they make movies, and the best way to watch these movies like in the way they're meant to be seen is in theaters. So I try to see as many movies in theaters as I can. I'm a big horror movie guy, so that's always fun to go see in theaters, and like you said, I like to stay current as well. I just because I also write reviews and articles for geeksandgamers.com.
Nice.
And so that's where I give a lot of my reviews, and on Twitter I tweet a lot, and on my website I do like little mini blog pieces and stuff. I just like to I like to be in the know, I guess. I just like to be in the know, and I have lots of opinions all the time. So
I totally agree with
how
that.
it started.
When I was a kid, my grandmother would just drop me off at the movie theater, and I learned how to movie hop from her, and I would just go to movies all day. So
Oh
there's
yeah,
something to be.
that's what me and my dad would do. We'd start the day at like 11 a.m. and we'd see like 2 movies. We'd leave, go get McDonald's, come back, sneak the McDonald's into the third movie.
Nice.
Like that was it was our every weekend thing. I'd have to fight my sisters. It was always a debate. They're like, are we going to movies or are we going to Chuck E. Cheese? I'm like, nah, fuck Chuck E.
No,
Cheese.
fuck
Go
that,
to
dude. The movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something to be said for the ambiance of going to a movie. Like regardless of what the movie is, I am always down to go to a movie, and I prefer to go alone typically because.
Oh my god, me too. Like people are so weird about going to movies alone.
No, I have
like,
no problem
that's the
with
way I
that.
do it.
I'm weird about going.
I
alone.
hate going to a movie and sitting next to someone who asks me questions about the movie. It's going
Well,
on in front of you. Pay attention.
Well, no. Now, see, me not wanting to go alone, it's totally like a social stigma thing for me because,
No,
like,
I don't care about that,
I'll go
man.
to a movie with you, and I'll sit and you and I have gone to several movies together, and
Well, we've known each other for 20
Right,
years.
exactly.
We've gone to some movies.
right. So most of the time we'll sit and we'll banter or whatever through the trailers and like, oh, that looks cool, that sucks, whatever. But typically it's silence through the movie. For me, it's the appearance that you don't have any friends to go with when you're there by yourself.
That never bothered me though. I don't care about that. A matinee in the
I
middle of the
literally
week.
have a story about that from yesterday. Like, because I go to movies alone, like pretty much all the time. Like, 'cause
Right.
I'm not gonna talk to you while I'm in the movies. I'm
No,
going to
right.
watch the
You're
movie
there to
'cause
watch
I'm trying
the
to get
movie.
away from people, like trying to get away from the world.
See, now I'm
But,
excited. Oh, go ahead.
Which one?
Oh no, you're fine.
Anyway, I was like,
Wow, this doesn't happen very often.
no. So I'm excited because so I have an HTC Vive, right? The VR headset.
Okay.
And you can do like a virtual desktop, and they also have a virtual theater. So I could go and I can load up, and I can put the headset on, put on my 7.1 headphones, and I can relax back in my computer chair. And visually, what I am seeing is all around me. I am seeing a theater because of the perspective of the headset and whatnot, what feels like a giant screen in front of me. So with the giant virtual screen in front of me and the surround sound headphones, I essentially feel like I'm in a theater. I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be. Will it fully replace going to the theaters? No, there's an. I mean, you're never going to get popcorn at home like you do in a movie theater.
No, what you need to have is in-home 4DX.
That's true.
That would be awesome.
I don't know. It's just like the
movies with television.
atmosphere, you know. It's like kind of like the difference between going to like a baseball game and like watching it on TV, you know. Like,
Right.
You can
No.
feel like you're there, but you're not. You know, I don't know.
So what is
even
your-
if like I want the uncomfortable chair and the
Yeah.
popcorn that's too sticky.
That was my
and the
next
soda
question.
That has too much ice in it. You can't get that at
No,
home.
you want to be ripped off. It's part
Well,
of the
I suppose
experience.
the
So
the
what
un-
is your preferred method of movie theater? Like for me now, as an older man, as I age, I go to a movie theater where you can drink beer. They have reclining seats. I eat dinner there. Whereas it used to be, you know, like you just said, bad chairs, bad popcorn.
I go to the movie theater for popcorn.
I only go to dine in theaters if it's a movie I've seen before, or if it's like something I'm not like, you know, I'm not very much into, because like I find it a little distracting in dine-in theaters. Like we have a theater that has like the reclining seats, but
Yeah.
it's not a dine-in.
So let me
And
ask
then we
you
just
this.
got an Alamo Draft House too, which I
Oh,
go to
nice.
like see like older movies and stuff like there.
I assume that you live somewhere that's a bit more urban, though.
I live in a college town. I live in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay. So
And
where
it's
we
like-
live, if I decide to go to this theater, it's not going to be busy. So it's not much of a distraction.
No, we have like 4 different movie theaters too, so it's like, oh, okay, what am I in the mood for this movie? Like, do I want to go see it in a packed theater? Do I want to go see it where I can drink the beer? Or
Right.
like I have like an indie theater too that's like pretty small and intimate, and you can drink beer in those ones too. So
Nice. So what was the first movie you saw and the most recent movie you saw?
see, I have like a ridiculously like stupid good memory. And for the life of me, I can't remember. I don't know what the first movie I saw in theaters was, honestly.
I saw Oliver
Like,
and Company
couldn't-
first, and then Ninja Turtles. Those were
I
my
just
first 2
I
experiences.
can just remember in my head just going to the movies. Like I guess for
Right.
the first like 4 years of it, it was a blur. But
So it's just something
Like,
that's been ingrained in you for so long, and there was no moment that made you love it, right?
No, not really. I mean, there's like movies I remember, like, because I'm a big horror movie guy. So, like, I remember, like, the first time I watched Nightmare on Elm Street with my mom.
Yeah.
And, like, I was like 7 years old. Why was I watching that movie? But it was awesome. And then, like, I watched The Fly whenever I was like 8 as well. Like, I had that uncle that, like, showed me all the movies I probably
Right.
shouldn't have been watching at that age.
That's
Like, I had that uncle.
that's
So it
funny.
was
That's-
awesome. So
that's
that was
a lot
another
more
big,
extreme.
like, movie inspiration for me, too.
Yeah,
my,
see,
my biggest horror things when I was young was Alien 3 and Arachnophobia. And those aren't even that bad, but they kept me awake for months.
no, see, I was all
I'm
horror.
still
when
terrified of spiders, man.
I was all horror when I was a kid too. Like I'm kind of in that boat where I don't have. I couldn't tell you the first movie I thought I saw in the theater. But
And then the most recent, I went and saw the new Annabelle creation last night.
Nice. I saw.
How is that?
I saw Atomic Blonde last week. Excellent movie.
It's dope.
are they both
Dope.
good? Yeah.
Atomic Blonde is pretty good too, but Annabelle creation was pretty dope.
Was it better than The Conjuring?
It's about on the. It's like slightly under the first Conjuring.
Yeah.
See, I
And then
thought the
lo-
first
I love the
Conjuring was
Conjuring 2
perfect.
like a lot.
I haven't
but,
seen The Conjuring
Annabelle
2, but
creation's
the
pretty
first one.
good though.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. For me, like, I don't know. I kind of
It's
fall.
like a. Oh, go ahead.
I fall away from like the whole based on a true story, like because there's like one sliver of what actually happened, and then the rest of it is all creative license, and that's fine. But like there's always what feels like a level of them being held back when they have to base it on something true, or supposedly base it on something true. Like I would rather just go them like fucking full ham and just give me a legit horror movie. But I mean there are some.
But even when they base it on something true, I mean, most of what you're getting is based on a true story at the beginning, and then fuck all.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Like the house was the same,
Right.
and that was where it was based on a true
Right.
story.
Speaking of which, you can buy the house from Pet Cemetery now,
I saw that.
if you're so interested. If it has a Pet Cemetery,
It's actually
in it,
really cheap too.
I'm gonna kill you and bury you and bring you back.
That would be cool
Would it? You'd be a.
if I was aware of it.
You'd be.
That'd be so cool.
But no, but
You'd be like a flatliner.
They're remaking that movie too. I can't wait for the remake of that. I love that movie.
so
It looks pretty cool.
I'm curious really quick since you were kind of the oddball out. I'm curious because like he remembers movie experiences but not the first. I'm the same way. Again, I have movie experiences I remember, but I couldn't tell you the first one I saw in the theater. For you, it was very specifically Oliver and Company and Ninja Turtles. Like, was there something about seeing those two movies that was so impactful that
So-
you specifically remember that?
Oliver and Company, Ninja Turtles, the original, Land Before Time.
Right.
Those were the first 3 movies I saw. Now, I'm from a small town in northern Maine, and they had the Braden Theater there. It was a small 2-theater theater, for lack of a better term. And it's a familial thing. It was my grandmother. She was always the one to take me, So it's just the special moment, like you go out with your relative, just the two of you. And honestly, what really did it for me was the Ninja Turtles movie. The original OG Ninja Turtles still holds up for me. I love that movie. And, as that having that be an early movie experience for me, especially having it come out in 90 when I was 6 and right in the middle of the Ninja Turtle craze, yeah, I mean, it just builds from there.
Right.
Now, you go on from that, I spent the summers with my grandparents, and my other grandmother would always take me on Fridays during the day. So I would just have free reign in the movie theater, and it was in the country. Typically, in the middle of the week in the summer, nobody was there. So I would be by myself in the theater.
So you had this whole giant screen to yourself.
Right. I saw
so it was a
Phenomenon
very
by myself, Broken Arrow, Jurassic Park,
Broken Arrow. We need to do
Rumble
that.
in the Bronx. Yeah, Broken Arrow is an excellent
I
movie.
love that movie.
But all of those quintessential like John Woo action movies of the 90s, saw by myself. Excellent.
The only,
Excellent stuff.
that's my most memorable moment from Broken Arrow is the John Woo moment when there's a dove for no fucking reason
Yeah.
in the train. But
I mean, talking about watching John Woo movies by yourself, and you guys were talking about Nick Cage beforehand. I watched. I
Face Off.
just watched Face Off.
Nice.
Love
Nice.
Face Off.
Like a month
hold,
ago.
hold on.
You know, I can eat a peach for hours.
Castor Troy was my hero when I was a kid. I made my grandmother buy me 2 like cap guns, and I'd keep them in my back, just like he had
And
that
did you
holster.
spray paint them gold too? Because
If I had access to the gold paint as a kid, I would have, but I didn't. They
oh
were,
man,
they were
talk about
blue,
like
and it was a
I just
letdown.
sat at home and got like real stoned by myself and watched Face Off, and I had a blast.
I want
It
to take
was-
his face.
It's amazing. His face Oh, like I was like, that's the like most shameless like name drop of a film title like ever. He's just like, I want it off.
See, like I don't know what it is, and honestly, I don't know what it is with me and Nick Cage. Like I love Nicolas Cage movies. I've ever since.
You're not
I'm the same way
alone.
with Keanu Reeves.
Well, no.
I absolutely love and adore Keanu Reeves.
I
and
know
everything
Kung
he
Fu.
does.
You're definitely not alone with your love of Nick Cage
Well, no.
in the room. Like, I've let you overshadow me with your fandom because you've been so verbal about it. But I am right there with you on
Right.
the Nick Cage love, man.
But it's like, I mean, and there are so many, like, yeah, they're bad, but they're so like, okay,
But not
so
all of them are bad.
so I'm gonna, no, they're not. So I'm gonna give a little bit of credit. Another movie podcast that I'm a fan of, I'm pretty sure you listen to too, is Scott Johnson's Film Sack, with Scott Johnson, Brian Ibbett, Brian Dunaway, and Randy Jordan. And they this past weekend did Matchstick Men, which is another great Nicolas Cage movie. Nicolas Cage, Sam Rockwell. I assume we've all seen it.
Oh, Sam Rockwell. Ninja Turtles was Sam Rockwell's first movie, and he's one of my favorite actors.
There you go.
Yet another connection.
So, one of them, it was either Brian Dunaway or Randy Jordan. They said that Nicolas Cage isn't good, Nicolas Cage isn't bad, Nicolas Cage is entertaining, and that's what's important. And I think that describes him to a T.
But I think he is good.
At a point, he was good. At a point, he was good.
He
like,
got
you gotta remember,
ridiculous.
like, he won an Oscar like 15 years before Leo DiCaprio did.
That's true.
Let that go through your mind.
Yeah, but can we also
He
say
was
that
good.
Leo won one like 15 years after he deserved to? Like,
Yeah.
Leo should have got one for Titanic.
So to quote The Crow, it's all about awful goodness, right?
Right.
That's Nick Cage
It's
summed
awfully good. But he's got...
Like when you hear him talk about like his acting method, like he calls like operatic acting, it's like there's a method to it. Like when you say there's a method to the madness, there literally is. And
Yeah,
I love
I
it
mean,
because he's so into it. He's in it.
He is, and the thing is he, like, he had a way about him when he first started, and the way about
Yeah.
him was good. But then he kind of developed.
Speaking of that, Corey in the chat says, "Get back to Nick Cage and Valley Girl." That's
Yeah.
my Nick Cage.
Yeah.
They're remaking Valley Girl, and Nick Cage's role is being played by a British guy.
Oh, really? I don't know. I don't know, but like, I don't know, man. It's Nick Cage. It's like there isn't a Nick Cage movie that I have seen, other than Wicker Man, that I didn't at least somewhat enjoy. Nate isn't showing. Oh, is it not popping? Let's go check out Hugo's art for a second here. Nice.
Oh man, that was unexpected.
Pretty close.
I like it. Well, working with lines and the shadows.
Like I said, at the end of the episode, I'll put a light on so you can actually see. I want to see like what the comparison.
I think you need to like trump up the shock top more. He's kind of got like a dead rag on his head in the image that you've created.
He's almost got a Trump toupee on his head. It's like,
Hey, I got the lights off for like your safety here, because like the light's gonna come on, and once you see my hair, it's a blinding light. Oh, I dig it. I'm into it. I actually have a pair of sunglasses like those.
Do you really?
so I'm curious. So he described Ninja Turtles, and I'd like to talk about Ninja Turtles, but we can either do it later. Or we can have that discussion another time. But like, so what would you say your most impactful movie moment was?
So I mean, I have two. So most people that know me, my two favorite movies. I mean, one of them is Nightmare Before Christmas. Like I got a poster behind me, I got paintings, I got tattoos, like I got the whole 9 yards. And Nightmare Before Christmas, like Tim Burton in general, was kind of just like I grew up on Tim Burton films. He made you feel cool to be weird, like, to be different, and like, but not only that, I loved his style. He had this, Tim Burton was like the first time I noticed like a director having a distinct style. And then I started paying attention to that. So that's like one movie detail I'd start paying attention to. And then so that's like my favorite movies, not only from like a nostalgic standpoint, but then I think it's a masterpiece as far as like the stop motion animation and whatnot. But then if I had to like tell people like what movie would describe like my taste in movies the best, it's American Psycho, which is my second favorite movie.
Yes, that's an excellent choice.
I have a tattoo for that one too. And in American Psycho, I just watched that movie, and then like what Christian Bale did with it, I was like, oh, like he's acting right now. Like that's what that looks like. And like this is style. Like this has like substance to it. I was like, this is incredible, and I would just watch it over and over and over again. And I just appreciate it so much. So like those are two movies that like really like kind of changed the way I looked at movies, I suppose. But like Nightmare Before Christmas, I've been watching that movie like every like I used to do a thing every December. I would see how many times I could watch it in a month because I was just obsessed with it. And I hate Christmas too, ironically. So it's like that's my Christmas movie.
I read this really interesting article about how Christian Bale was a better Bruce Wayne in American Psycho than he was in the Dark Knight trilogy.
I mean, he basically was like, like he for real was like. I will not dispute that. I won't.
No, that was
Patrick Bateman's one of my favorite characters. It's my favorite like single performance out of anybody.
That's
like
such
I
a
love
great
Christian
movie.
Bale.
I just rewatched that recently. You know they're remaking Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
Are they remaking it? I know they were doing a sequel as a
I
comic.
hadn't heard that, but
I know they're doing a
hope
sequel.
It's not true.
According
I hope
to
it
Hollywood
dies.
Babylon, they're remaking it, and I think that's blasphemy. They just
There's no
should
need to
leave that alone.
There's no
man.
need to remake a cartoon. Like like now, like Disney's on this kick right now where they're live actioning a lot of their cartoons, and that's fine. If you want to live action it, fine, that's fine. We got a live action Jungle Book, which was really good. A live action Beauty and the Beast, which I haven't seen, but I heard was really good. You got
It's pretty solid.
you got live action Lion King coming out now. Lion King. Now it's funny because I like. Okay, so really quick with the Ghostbusters movie that came out last year, right? So everyone's like, "Oh, you're ruining my childhood." I never really like the Ghostbusters were entertaining to me, but they were never like that was never a big deal. Like the first one came out the year I was born. I wasn't old enough to give a shit, right? So I saw the new one. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. Now they're telling me that they're doing a live action Lion King, and now I'm the old man going, "You're fucking with my childhood."
Yeah, that
like-
new Ghostbusters movie was a problem for me. It's fine. It is what it is. It's something different. You know what really raped my childhood was The Dark Tower. My God, what a mess.
I've heard
Was it
that's
that
real
bad?
I don't know.
Yes.
I've heard so many like I've heard a lot of negative. Now here's the funny thing, and we might have talked about this last week too, because you mentioned on All Geeked Up last week. You saw it before the podcast. I've heard a lot of negative, and I've heard, or read a lot of negative. I've also read a lot of don't listen to all the negative, but I haven't read anything that's purely positive.
Well, a lot of the negative reviews come from people who also haven't read the books. So
Or
that tells
fans,
you
yeah.
that tells you something right there.
Right.
Now, what you have to understand about the books and spoilers is that at the end of the book, the journey starts again. So you have to understand that the main character is doomed to repeat over and over again until he gets it right. So the movie is just another version of that adventure.
Okay.
But they take all these leaps of faith where you would have had to read the books to know half the lore in the movie. They just assume that you're going to know what they're talking about. But alternatively, they leave a bunch of shit out that's essential to the story. And you have 7 books over 30 years, and they've pulled bits and pieces from all these books and just mashed it all together.
Has it really been 7 books over 30 years?
Yeah, he started writing it in the early 70s.
Jesus.
So even more than that. But again, like as a teenager, that was my favorite series of
Right.
books. And to wait, it's kind of like X-Men. To wait this long to get that, an assembly line Hollywood movie with what I equate to having no feeling at all and no flavor of its own. Ugh. No.
No, I can understand.
No.
I can certainly understand that. I mean, when it comes to, I'm not a big reader. I mean, lately, because of tech and my job, I've gotten into audiobooks a lot, so I do a lot of that. But when it comes to reading and movies to book or book to movie, more appropriately, I guess, book to movie. So we talked about movie memories, right? So one of my when it comes to movie theater, biggest or most impactful movie theater memories, I was in middle school, and I don't remember the year. Hugo can probably look it up and tell me exactly the year. But it was somewhere between like 96, 97, 98. Because I don't think I was in high school yet. But anyway, regardless, it's not important. Maybe I was high school. Again, not important. It's like a George Carlin joke all over again.
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah.
The guy telling the story. Oh, yeah, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, my first one. Shut the fuck up and just tell me.
So anyway, it was a Friday, and my mom dismissed me from school to take me to go see Hannibal because it was opening day for Hannibal.
That only happened twice in my life for 2
And-
movies. Independence Day and ready for it?
Yeah.
Birdcage.
There you go. So it was so it was Hannibal, and I watched Silence of the Lambs very shortly after it came out on VHS, because that was the early mid-90s movie. And I was young. I was maybe 10 or 11, 12. And I loved it. I loved the movie to the point that I went back and I read the book. And I read the book. And then I read Red Dragon. And then I read Hannibal. And then going to see the Hannibal movie and the Red Dragon movie and the Hannibal Rising movie. Fuck all. There's a level of give me the books there, you know? So I can certainly understand that. I mean, where I didn't have that passionate connection to them like you did with Dark Tower, there's still that level of, what did you do to my story? And we take ownership of the story like it's ours. Like, what did you do to it? But
that always happens with books. I was the same way with, like, I mean, not as passionate, but like I remember when the fucking Percy Jackson movies came out, because that was like one of my series I read, and then I was like, what the hell is this? This could have been so cool, but it wasn't. But it's whatever. But I didn't read Dark Tower, so I don't have a bias yet.
that makes sense. So do you?
And again, like, you can go into the movie blind and get through it. It's just not going to be memorable for you. I like a movie that sticks with me, or at least is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is faithful to the source material. Like, you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, do I need to get fired? Do I need to get fired up over this?
Describing a lifeless movie.
Right. I mean, what's a movie that sticks with me? Vanilla Sky.
Yeah.
That movie moved me the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And again, like, I would argue against it too, because it doesn't really have a flavor of its own, but at the same time, it makes you think. The Matrix, that makes you think a little bit.
Matrix. So Matrix I went to see with my mom in '99. Episode 1 I went to see with my mom in '99. There was a lot of like, and that's probably why. I mean, not to shy away from movies, but there was a level of like, there was a long period of time that my mom and I didn't get along. So a lot of my most impactful theatrical moments are either high school or post high school with all my buddies. You know, seeing The Dark Knight in the theater like 8 times the weekend it came out. Like, that was a big deal for me because I loved Ledger as the Joker. Or movie jumping, like Brandon mentioned earlier, but movie jumping when Gladiator came out, and seeing like you know, hopping from Gladiator to I forget. Fuck, there was another movie that was out around that same time. It was one of those parody movies with like Charlie Sheen or whatever. But anyway, so
it wasn't Hot Shots.
2000s.
Huh? No, it was what were the other ones that they did?
Scary Movie.
No.
Not Another Teen Movie type movies.
Yeah, but it had like the original cast. It was like your Charlies and your Leslie Nielsen and
Naked Gun.
Hot Shots?
Maybe it was Hot Shots.
Hot Shots 1 and 2 were
Part
way
2?
earlier
It would have
than
been
that,
like
though.
the second one.
No, it wouldn't have been this. No.
That was
there a third one?
That was long ago. No.
Or was there something that followed that up? Oh,
Not that I know of.
maybe it was. I don't know. Whatever. It's not important. Anyway, so it was Gladiator and something. I'll look at what year Gladiator came out now.
Was Charlie Sheen in any of the Scary Movie iterations?
Yeah, but not until number 3.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I'm gonna get this. You guys talk about something.
It's okay. I have faith in you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what it would be.
Do we know what year Gladiator came out?
Gladiator came out in 2000.
2000.
So we mentioned
Maybe
Stephen
2001,
King
but I'm pretty sure 2000.
Yeah, I think it was 2000.
All right, so it wouldn't.
It might have been earlier than that. It might have been 99 because I was dating a girl in church and going to youth group when that came out, and I was hating life.
Oh, really? That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
And then you went and saw Gladiator, and you just felt like a man afterwards. You dumped her.
We talked
You
about
said,
Gladiator
"I'm done
in
with
Sunday
this."
school. Her dad was the minister. It was weird. I don't know.
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
so we talked about Stephen King a little bit ago. Well, not too long ago, but. So, have you seen Graveyard Shift or Maximum Overdrive? Anything like that?
I've seen Maximum Overdrive, if you can count that as a movie.
Yeah, man.
Yes, I have. I've seen it.
I love that
It's,
movie.
it's something.
That movie is the best bad movie that I can think of. I watched that. My cousin used to lock me into a room with him, and we'd watch horror movies all day. I love that movie. One of the only movies
I would
where
do
the
that.
whole soundtrack is one band.
If I'm gonna watch a shitty Stephen King movie, I'm gonna watch The Langoliers.
That's a good one.
That's the one I'm watching because it is still kind of creepy, but at the same time, it's real bad.
It is super bad.
Like sometimes it's like, what is going on?
The really early CGI, terrible stuff.
What about Dreamcatchers?
Man, that CGI was weird.
Dreamcatcher was a huge problem for me because again, they did not convey what was in the book on the screen at all. Jason Lee was in it though. I do love Jason Lee. Too. And Morgan Freeman with those eyebrows, it's kind of fucked up.
Everything about that movie was just a little weird. It was a little off.
How you coming there, Nate?
Yeah, you know what? I'm stumbling because I'm looking at 2000s comedies and like there's nothing. But I have a really So here's my memory, right? So I Gladiator, right? And then I have a really strong memory because this was when the main mall theater was still there, and we would bounce back and forth. And I have a very strong memory of Gladiator, and then there was another one, and one of the scenes was either Charlie Sheen and Charlie Sheen in his Rambo gear with like assault rifles or submachine guns.
That's oh man, that's coming to me.
Thunder something or other.
No, it wasn't.
Other than Hot Shots 2, I have no idea what that would be.
But I'm looking up 2000s comedies and it's not here because.
Did you go to Charlie Sheen's IMDb?
I did, and there's nothing. There's nothing there. So I don't know if it was Charlie Sheen or a Charlie Sheen lookalike.
Was it John Rambo?
I wish there was a way to like look up a movie and then look at what was in theaters at the same time that movie was.
There should be an app for that. You should make it. We should make that app.
Yeah, but in what random scenario do you ever need those?
Right now.
Like now.
What here we go. Google. What was in theaters with Gladiator?
Well, this show has devolved into lots of fun.
I know, this makes for great radio.
Should do like my roommate. He just he asks Siri for like everything, and she never provides any of the answers. Maybe 50% of the time. Siri is very unreliable, but he's like a dad and never wants to actually Google shit.
All right, hold on.
Like,
Captain Maternity Corey is saying that there was a mobster spoof. Do you remember what it was called? Yeah, Hot Shots 2 is way too late, dude. That's what I was thinking was. No, but see, I remember that Leslie Nielsen was in it because I remember, I think it wouldn't have been Jay and Silent Bob, would it?
No.
When was that?
No.
That was 2000, 2001, but he wasn't in it.
That was like, yeah.
Was it Mafia? Was that it?
Ooh, it might be Mafia.
I don't think that was the right year, though. That had Leslie
Scary
Nielsen,
Movie
right?
3 was 03.
No, this would have been 2000.
That was 2003.
No, Mafia was 98, dude. Good try, though. Maybe I'm just mixing my memories up, man. But anyway, yeah, I remember. I seriously remember bouncing. But anyway, yeah. No, man, fucking Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
My like random movie memory that I like to tell people is like because I'm 23. I'm like right in that, like I'm in between, like I was there for like some of like the old school days, but at the same time I'm still a millennial, so it's like I'm right on that cusp.
I think it's funny that you're 23 and you think you were there for the old school days.
Yeah.
No, I said I was like I mean, like, okay, when I say old school days, I'm talking like landlines. That shit's still kind of old school to me.
Oh boy,
dude! Like back
I'm on the cusp though.
Back in the day, like the mid '90s.
What must that be like at 33 for us?
I don't know.
It's a funny thing to think about, So it's like, whenever I'm about to go to a movie, I have like 3 different movie apps on my phone to like look at different times and shit. I remember. So it was a ritual with me and my dad. We'd be like, all right, you want to go to movies? Let's go to fucking movies. Let's roll. So we'd leave the house with no plan. You go to the gas station. He gives me 50 cents. He's like, I go and I grab a newspaper.
That's Hot Shots.
Yeah, but that's not it. It's not the right year.
I go and grab this newspaper. I throw everything away except for the entertainment section because that's where you found all the movie times. And then we'd plan out which movies we'd see, if we'd eat before or afterwards, and we do all this from the car too. This is all in the car with the newspaper. So that was awesome because now it's just like, let me pull out my Fandango app.
Yeah. Right. Now, see, it's funny
because you have to call a movie phone.
So it's like those are still kind of old school days to me.
See, now it's funny because so you said you're 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a decade on you. So even with that difference, like, it's funny that you go back far enough to where you remember that, because I remember that. And I remember movie phone. Like, you would call the theater, and I'm sure they still have it, but you'd call the theater and you'd get that automated message of, when is this playing?
Welcome to Movie Phone. Now playing.
But
Although I
see,
usually went to the newspaper because I can't remember what they did.
yeah, but see, you don't really need that anymore, because you know enough now, at least for me, like, if I'm going to the movies, it's the late showing, which means it probably starts somewhere between 9:20 and 9:40.
Yeah,
At least up
I've been
here.
going to the movies long enough to know that there's a noon, there's a 2 or a 3, there's a 7 and a 10.
Yeah, or 9:30.
9:30.
Whether
10.
it's Cinemagic
Do you want to
or...
split hairs? Yes. Yes.
Oh, see, yeah, I'm in a college town. All the times are weird as fuck out here. Some movies are at 6:20, some are at 7:40. You never know when movies are. But I do like that we have like real late shows. Like we have sometimes movies that don't start until like 11:30. It's awesome.
I'm gonna take 2 seconds. I'm gonna boot you from the call and have you rejoin the link. Because you or try talk again. 'Cause just it's a little robot-y. It's the connection.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not the connection. That's my that's my sound card. One sec.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I mentioned it then.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Let's while Deezus is fixing the sound card, let's check the art.
Yes, yes.
I like the film in the glasses.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. I want to know what's going on. Is that Freddy Krueger over there?
Yeah. Oh, it's on the same layer. Yeah, because he said he liked Freddy Krueger.
Let's
So.
see.
Nice. Thank you for highlighting that. I appreciate it.
I was cutting it out. Ah. Okay.
We're being told if you unplug and plug your mic back in, it might fix it.
Cut it on and off a few times.
Just flick a bunch of switches.
Flip the switch. It's fine. A raptor? Raptor noises? So I have no idea what that movie is you're talking about, Nate.
Yeah,
I assume that you have
my
got to have
guess-
the wrong actor in mind.
My guess is I don't think I have the wrong actor in mind. My guess is
Well,
that I have
the only thing that
no.
Charlie
My
Sheen
guess
did
is
in
I have
0102 were like TV movies for the most
my
part.
guess is I have memories squished together. That's my guess.
Squishy memories.
Because like
All right, how am I now?
oh, you're good. Cool.
Sweet.
Jesus has risen.
Yeah, no, we call that like that's a known thing on either on my podcast or like some other YouTube shows I do. They say that's why I turn into a transformer, and then like then they're like, all right, DeVaughn, you gotta take your 5. You're transforming right now, and I'm like, shit.
Time to go regenerate.
It's because I use a mixer and stuff. I plug into it, and Macs don't have a microphone jack anymore. 'Cause I'm not using like a USB mic.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah,
No, we've got it all too. So
Yeah,
But
so
Macs don't
stupid
have-
sound card.
oh, so you have the yeah. That's weird that Max.
Yeah, I have like one of the USB sound cards to like be able to run
okay.
through. Yeah,
I knew
so
there was-
that's called going transformer.
I knew there was a reason that I got rid of my Macs. I like my PC stuff.
Yeah. I mean, iPhone for life, I guess. but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Even then, I mean, with the advent of Bluetooth, you don't need the jack. But in terms of what we're doing here, you need to have something.
Yeah,
to
wireless
jack.
wouldn't work too well.
Got a jack. Jack it all the time.
Siloning. There we go. Corey with the siloning. All right. So
Bring us back on track, Nate.
all right, we talked about movies for a while. We talked about your show. So yeah, you mentioned also YouTuber. I'm gonna also assume that's all movie related.
Yeah, so well, I started off on YouTube. I don't do YouTube as much anymore. Now I do mainly podcasting and writing.
Okay.
But yeah, I started off on YouTube. I was doing a couple like shows on a YouTube channel, but YouTube channel wasn't very focused. I just like kept doing random shit all the time. And then so I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a break from YouTube. And then that's whenever I started the podcast. And then I realized how much more I enjoyed podcasting. And then the show took off. And then everything else kind of fell into place after that. So I haven't really went back to YouTube since.
I recommend starting as many shows as you can. If you have a hard time staying on topic, just start a new show. That's what we do.
Oh yeah, no, that's what. Yeah, no, I'm working on a horror show right now. I got all sorts of stuff, and
Nice.
that's why I'm always writing. I do stand up on top of that too.
Glad you mentioned that. Who's your? Because I meant to ask, and then we just got so sidetracked. Who's your favorite horror villain, or horror
favorite horror
protagonist, depending on your side?
It's hard. So I'm gonna name a couple.
Okay.
So most underrated horror villain is Candyman. Candyman is amazing. It's
mouthful of
I
bees.
love Tony Todd so much, that voice. So Candyman's one of my favorites.
Tony Todd is just scary. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
it.
I love the
He's
Final
just a
Destination movies too. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of those. So like Tony Todd's my shit.
When
He
he-
followed me on Twitter like a couple of weeks ago, and I like
Oh,
nerded out
awesome.
hardcore.
When he was the military vet in the X-Files episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Tony
Tony-
Todd's awesome.
Tony
So that's my
Todd-
most underrated. I mean, I do love Freddy Krueger just because that was one of my first. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the OG one, is amazing. And then as far as like, I have a new favorite from this year. Many people didn't enjoy this movie, but did either of you guys see the movie Life?
No.
No.
You should watch that.
That
Well,
was the one that
if
they
you-
said was like the precursor to a Venom movie, right? Where they go out in space.
Well, that was the rumor. It's not a precursor to
No,
Venom.
but that was
Though
what
it
it- like,
could
they
have
could-
been.
could have been,
It could
right?
have been.
Right.
I do want to see that.
There's that.
If you're a fan of Alien, you'll like this movie, but
See,
I
there
absolutely
were-
love it, and it has one of my new favorite movie monsters in it. His name is Calvin. Since you guys haven't seen the movie, I won't tell you anything, but Calvin is the most savage movie monster that's ever existed.
Nice.
So you guys should watch this movie.
See, I thought that would fall in line with like Event Horizon, Solaris, those kind of space movies where they're trapped and everybody goes crazy.
No, it's a straight up creature feature, and it's awesome.
That's
Nice.
cool.
So, what do you think? I assume you've seen the trailer for the new Leatherface movie. What do you think about them doing a Leatherface origin
I
story?
just saw that yesterday.
I hate it.
Really?
I hate it. This movie has been in like production hell for like a year and a half too. Like this movie's gonna be awful.
Yeah.
But that trailer, I'm just like, why? Like that's when you ruin the slashers, is when, you know, because they're mysterious and like that's what makes them scary. If you know all the background about them, then they become less scary. That's the reason new Nightmare on Elm Street didn't work, because they went too far into Freddy's, you know.
See, now I'm
background.
gonna disagree
really.
with you there, but we can talk about that in a second. But no, I agree with you. It humanizes them a little bit.
What about Halloween? Rob Zombie's
Well, that's what I was
Halloween.
gonna say. With this Leatherface movie, they're essentially doing what Rob Zombie did with Michael Myers.
Did you like that movie?
I
I
never
like
saw
the Rob Zombie Halloween, actually.
I never
but,
saw it.
I don't know, this one with Leatherface, it just doesn't feel right, because like I just like to know that he, like, Leatherface isn't even the villain of the movie when you think about it. Like, he's just kind of
He's the victim.
He's the victim.
he's the victim, but I like to just think of him as he was raised in this fucked up family, and you know, he wasn't able to deal with, you know, his like mental disability in the proper way and stuff. Like, that's the way I like to think about him, and that's the reason is the way he is, not because he was tortured in a psychiatric lab or something.
My problem with that trailer was that it looked too polished. That was my
It
biggest
is
issue, was that it was
very-
very much a Hollywood
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it doesn't
Really-
look old.
Really quick, do you see the chat?
Yeah, I was waiting for
Corey,
you.
I would love Nicolas Cage as Freddy Krueger, even if it's just a little like 5-minute parody
Replacing Robert England.
with
Nick
Nicolas
Cage.
Cage. That would be like, it would be fucking horrible, but it would be great. No, Nicolas Cage is anything. I love. Okay, so
1, 2, Nicky's coming for you.
Oh man, it would be glorious.
It would
I want Nicolas
So-
Cage's Freddy Krueger to snort
So there-
cocaine before he
4
kills
cages
people, too.
at your door.
So there was this Facebook page, shared that it was Chucky. See, okay, so really quick, Corey, Captain Temerity,
Temerity.
thank you. He also does a movie podcast called Podcast of Terror. It focuses purely on horror movies. Where you're a fan of horror movies, I would highly recommend checking it out. But so he always gives me crap because I love Nick Cage and because I really enjoyed Jared Leto as Joker. And apparently I'm wrong for that.
I enjoy Jared Leto as Joker. That's the one thing I enjoy about Suicide.
It's the only good thing about
like
it.
3 things in Suicide Squad, and he's one of them.
Now
but-
I love Ledger as Joker. I wasn't a big fan of Nicholson as Joker. I know that's blasphemy. I like Jack Nicholson. I wasn't a fan of Nicholson as Joker because Nicholson as Joker was just Nicholson in white face paint.
We were getting gangster Joker, you know.
There was no character there. Like he was himself in white face paint. Like there was no added character to that.
He also had an identity, which is weird. Joker's not supposed to have
Right,
like
he was
Yeah,
Jack,
Jack
Napier.
Napier,
Yeah, and Joker didn't kill
Yeah.
Batman's parents. Fuck off, Tim Burton.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
But anyway, but there's a scene in Suicide Squad. Now, Margot Robbie as Harley, amazing, and I'm excited that the rumor is she's getting a Harley standalone movie. Can't wait.
Is she getting
It's
a Harley
turned into a
standalone
Birds
movie
of
or
Prey
Birds of
movie
Prey?
now, or a Sirens movie.
Oh, is that what it got? 'Cause
Which I'm totally in for. I'm down for
yeah,
that.
no, Margot was amazing as Harley. I know people it didn't follow the comics, whatever, and it was like skanky Harley, not like original Harley. So whatever, that's fine. I don't care. I like the look. I like the outfit. Margot's a great actress. Like her scenes, like in the prison cell, like she played that character so well. But anyway, the scene with Leto when it was him and his dudes, and there was like the guard or the doctor or whatever, and he like straddled him and said that like they were gonna play a game or something like that, and like he just like everything he said had an innuendo, and everything he said was just very playful and like very forward, but also very like passive aggressive in many ways. Like the scene in the club when he was talking to that dude, and like there were just so many
I would call
ways.
that menacing androgyny.
Like he did everything so well, and I think that there were a couple. Like again, I loved Ledger. I loved the pencil trick. I loved the whole I loved the slow clap, which was a Heath Ledger improvisation. As a matter of fact, that wasn't part of the script. Things like that. I loved that, but I think that overall, Suicide Squad sucked. But I think Leto himself, in the few moments that he got, had some moments as Joker that were more powerful than any other Joker we've seen on screen.
They're all different Jokers, like kind of
Right.
like you guys were saying, like Nicholson was the gangster Joker, and then you got Ledger was the anarchist Joker.
And I'm all for anarchist Joker.
He was an agent of chaos. He was his own thing, and then Leto, you got this. He's a thug almost like he's very animalistic. I like people don't like all like the noises he makes. I find it like really interesting. And like you said, like the way he says things, everything had like these weird cadences to him. And then I love the scene with him and Harley when he like makes her jump in the chemicals and they jumps in after her.
He like
That's
swan
a
dives
cool-
in, yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool scene. And there's not many. Suicide Squad's garbage, but
Yeah, it's a
I'm
pile of
fan
shit. Right.
Leto's Joker as well.
Yeah, no, and I mean, unfortunately, there's a chance we might not see him as Joker again just because it got so much shit, which would
and
really
it's like-
suck.
And that's where like I get frustrated with like comic book movies because I read comics and stuff. I'm a big comic fan, but at the same time I'm like comics and movies are different things. So it's like I get frustrated when everybody's just like, that's not the way the Joker is supposed to be. That's not my Joker. That's not this. That's not comic book. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like,
But
it's
again,
its own thing. Like you do want to see the same character done the same way over and over again. You gotta keep refreshing it. They
but I'm
tried
mostly
something,
frustrated
and I'm
with
always
DC
okay with
comic
that.
movies.
Yeah.
It's mostly DC movies that bother me. I'm fine with the Marvel ones. And alternatively,
I love
from
them
Sirens,
all.
you're getting
The X-Men
Silver
movies
Sale.
are some of my favorites.
Now you've seen Wonder Woman?
No,
No.
that's the only one I haven't seen out
Jesus,
of all the releases.
Have you seen Wonder Woman?
I did.
Does it live up to the hype?
It's the best movie that DC has done.
That
It
doesn't
is-
say a lot.
It doesn't say a lot, but here's the thing: like Wonder Woman is actually a movie. It has a coherent narrative to it. They got the character right. It has fantastic performances. It looks great. Some of the action scenes are great. Does it have issues? Yeah, it has some issues, but like Wonder Woman is the best character that DC has given us by far, like far and away. Like it's like there's genuine scenes where I like got goosebumps because I'm just like this is Wonder Woman. Like it's perfect. Like it like similar to like Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. Like people's reaction to his Deadpool. Like I feel the same way about their Wonder Woman. Like that's the one thing that keeps my hope alive for the DCEU.
I'm so excited to see Cable and Deadpool 2.
Oh, and my God, does Brolin look amazing?
Cable and
looks
Domino,
perfect.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because that's your precursor for X-Force, I hope.
Right.
I want an X-Force movie so
Now,
bad.
do we know? Now, you're more of the Deadpool comic guy, and Deezus, you said that you also read comics too. But do we have any possible notion, like, because I don't know the origin of it, but is it in this movie that we perhaps get the Deadpool that can teleport? Because that's something about him merging some sort of way with Cable, right?
They're gonna take it a step further with like the fourth wall breaking, I think.
Yeah.
And I've heard rumors that like Deadpool is supposed to like he'll like be the one that assembles the X-Force, but he like won't necessarily always be in it.
Yeah.
Is like kind of what I've heard. So we could be getting some jumping around between universes or something.
I would like to see some body
wouldn't put it
sliding
past it.
happening in that movie. But
Yeah.
again, like that's all based around in the comics. It's based around the computer that Cable carries with him.
Right.
So if you read Cable and Deadpool, like they end up melding together, and I don't remember what happens. That's a 7-year-old comic, but yeah, Deadpool ends up being able to body slide like Cable does.
Right.
A lot of times they do it, and they end up melded together. But
Right. See, because I could totally see like. So like you've got a big group of like in the first Deadpool, right? So you've got all these guys in several different areas that he's fighting, and he's body sliding, and then like suddenly like he body slides to like the top of a car, and he's just there in like a Deadpool speedo like posed, and then body slides again and continues fighting, like things like that. Like they if they and
if I can get Deadpool doing the Nightcrawler shit, yeah, I'm into that.
like it'd be so cool. And again,
I
Ryan
could
Reynolds
see,
back.
I could see him doing it.
Now, really quick to address the chat. So, Megsy, so I'm a Marvel person as well. Like I'm Batman universe. Like I don't care about Superman. I don't care about Wonder Woman. I don't care about Justice League. I am like Batman. And then other than Batman, it's Marvel. Especially with what Marvel's doing. With the movies and things like that. Like I love like focusing purely on the MCU, like Robert Downey Jr. Like if you've listened to any of my past shows, like my love for Robert Downey Jr. Like he's like him as Tony Stark is amazing, and I'm excited for it. I'm not a big Captain America fan because he's Marvel's Superman, but I like Evans as Rogers. So I like now, and my hope. And I had this discussion with a couple of friends of mine. I hope with the success of Wonder Woman, that means that we can get more female-focused superhero movies. Like, I would love to see ScarJo as Black Widow in a
that's
Black
long
Widow
overdue.
movie.
You are getting a Silver Sable Black Cat movie. You don't know who they are.
I don't know who they are.
That's Spider-Man villains.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so no, I'm more like, yeah, but anyway, like I would love to see Black Widow in a movie. Like her leading a movie would be great. So, and things like that. I still haven't seen Spider-Man. I'm excited for that. I like the fact that Iron Man, Tony Stark is a big part of it in different ways. I like the fact that again, I haven't seen Homecoming yet, but I liked the fact that in Captain America 3, when Spidey's eyes moved, you heard the gears. So that means that Stark Industries is working on the suit. I hope that means we get Iron Spider at some point in time.
You'll have to. I mean, you got it. If you get Iron
I'll
Spider,
just say go see the movie. That's what I'll say.
But you know what
Just go
I
see the
think
movie.
about that in that movie is you're gonna get Ultimate Spider-Man in that suit, not Peter. I can't think of his name right now.
Is that Miles?
Miles
Miles
Morales.
Morales,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're gonna get Miles Morales in that suit. I think that's how the mantle's gonna change in Phase 3. But I
I'll
could
say
be
go
wrong.
see the movie. Just go see the movie. You'll get some of these questions.
Yeah,
or
and
some of
there's
these
isn't
questions
there
answered.
a Cap stinger too?
I didn't stay for the stinger for that movie.
I don't stay for any of the stingers. I looked them up online. I hate having to sit through all the credits to watch the stingers. It's that's the only thing that grinds me about Marvel. Like, don't make me sit through all those credits. Or something like Guardians. Something like Guardians where there's like 5 of them.
Guardians
Fuck
have 5,
me.
but it's worth it, man. Like it's
That
funny
was
going
It's
to
funny,
the
not
though,
movies.
worth
because
it when I
like
can
none
go
of them
home-
like meant anything.
I
for
don't even
Guardians.
care, man.
And-
Going to
and-
the movies is an experience. So the trailers are part of the experience, and now the stingers are part of it. I'll stay for the whole thing. I don't give a fuck.
But the
I like it all.
but the trailers are like the opening band in a concert. Even
Yeah,
if,
I skip trailers.
Even if-
I don't watch trailers.
even if
really.
they suck, you've got the headliner coming. But like, here's what the stinger is. Let's stick with the concert analogy. You know what the stinger is? The stinger is like the encore when they've played all their good songs in the main set. That's what the stinger is. Especially with modern tech when I can go home and I can look them up on YouTube.
Yeah, but now you're just trolling everybody for saying all of that. You'll stay. If you saw Avenged, you would stay.
Avenged doesn't have a bad song.
Yeah, okay. Okay. If you want to talk about skipping trailers and equating it to concerts, let's refer to that 12-hour fucking festival we went to that we could have gone to for 4 hours.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah, that's
The
true.
whole first half of that fucking day was a
We
waste.
definitely could have skipped a lot of those previews.
See, sometimes it works. You gotta skip the previews.
Yeah, sometimes you got to skip the previews. And again, and even there, I mean, again, technology, like the day that, like, it's like, oh, like I remember this was like 98 and I worked at Hollywood Video and there was a guy there named Dave. He was a manager there. And me and him went to go and see Monsters, Inc. And the reason that we went to see Monsters, Inc. was because it was the first movie in theaters to have a trailer or a teaser for episode 2. No, it wasn't 98. It was 2000. 2001, because Xbox came out. OG Xbox. 2001. OG. So yeah, so the Xbox released. Yeah, that's right. So it was 2001, and it was Monsters, Inc. And it was the first movie that played, again, an episode 2 teaser. And we went to go see Monsters, Inc. just because there was a Star Wars episode 2 teaser. You don't need to do that anymore because the day that they're in theaters, they're on YouTube, and sometimes beforehand. Sometimes they're unveiled on YouTube.
Yeah, mostly before now.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about the prequels and me going to them. It's totally just not memorable. For as much as I love Star Wars, I don't think I even saw episode 1 in the theater. It just does not stick with me for those 3 movies.
Well, we had this discussion last week. Episode 1 was the first Star Wars movie I saw in its entirety.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
Oh.
oh, look, even the 23-year-old's giving me shit for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen the original trilogy on VHS.
Oh no! I have now, but up
Oh
until
yeah, no, but no, that's a weird thing though to see that one first, like, because people, I do know some people that like do watch it in like the actual order, you know, like some people debate which orders you should watch Star Wars.
Yeah,
in,
we did that last week.
I was gonna say, I'm guessing you didn't listen to last week's episode. Yeah, that was like the
We
first
spent a good
hour.
20 minutes debating that last week. But,
Yeah.
I mean, regardless as to whether or not you're going to watch it, like episode 1 through whatever, the first time you watch Star Wars, where do you start? You start at A New Hope.
You start at A New Hope. Because A New Hope was literally it was just Star Wars. Like,
Right.
You start with OG original gangster Star
Right.
Wars.
Well, no, and again, and I don't disagree now. And again, and we won't get into this too much because anyone that listened last week, you heard this conversation at the beginning of the show last week. But so I was never a sci-fi guy. It was never Star Wars. It was never Star Trek. It was never any of that. Like I had a friend of mine that was all into like, what was it, like Stargate and like things like that. Like I was never into any of that. For me, it was always fantasy. It was always, the knights in shining armor. It was the horses. It was the sword fights. It was the castles. That's what I loved growing up. So for me, I always stayed away from that because I didn't understand. And again, we talked about this last week, but I didn't understand that Star Wars is fantasy, but in space. Your Jedis are your space wizards. You have sword fights with laser swords. So it is more fantasy in space than it is sci-fi.
What it is a Western in space.
It is a lot of that
fantasy
too.
elements.
So I never realized that.
It's a
So
space opera.
so kind of tying back to the memories with movies. No, episode 1, again 99, along with the original Matrix. I went to go see it with my mom, and it was 99. I was 14, 15. So it was like pod racing, like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like I remember like Star Wars Episode 1 pod racer for N64.
Oh, I hated that game. I couldn't have been more bored by the pod racing. You could cut that whole fucking scene out. Ugh.
It was so
Why
fun
do
to watch.
people
though.
hate it so much?
I don't know. It was such a
I watched
pointless.
the pod
it's not,
racing.
You know what the pod racing scene was? It was them showing off their tech.
That's all it was. That's what all those movies are.
Because
Is
it
them
was-
showing off
because
their
it
fucking
was
CG shit.
gorgeous.
So like because it didn't add anything to the movie, that's why you didn't like it.
Well, no.
I didn't like it because it takes away from the story of Star Wars and puts us into a fucking racetrack.
No,
So
but
I
they,
don't
but
need-
the race,
I don't-
We're in space.
but-
Let's see some fun
but-
space.
Yeah, we're in space.
It
Why are
was.
we in the desert racing chariots?
Because-
we should be out in
Because it's
fucking
cool.
starfighters.
because they needed to stress that Anakin won the race with his force powers.
Anakin, the greatest pilot in the galaxy. Why is he racing chariots, man?
Because he's a poor slave in the galaxy
Ugh. With immaculate birth.
with Watto,
Deezus, do you know anything about that?
who is the most racist allegory for a Jewish
Oh,
person
yeah, I
ever.
don't actually have parents. I just kind of hired them at birth, and
Deezus just
you know,
is.
that's what we're rolling
Jesus
with.
is.
Deezus has risen.
Yeah. So let's touch really quick on. Now, obviously, I mean, we've already seen some of it. You've been great conversation. But you also said you're a comedian, among other things. So do you mean that you just add comedy to what you already do, or do you do anything in a comedic?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you listen to Deezus Take the Reel, like, you know, because Deezus is also, like I said, it's like kind of like a persona. So, you know, I play it up a little bit more on the show than whenever I'm like, you know, doing this kind of stuff. So there's that, but then also, but yeah, I do stand up as well. I've been doing stand up for about a year or two now. Oh, thanks, Ray. My roommate just brought me another beer.
Nice.
But yeah, so I've been doing stand up for a couple of years now. I've been a big fan of stand up. Like if I'm not watching movies, I'm watching stand up usually on Netflix. Like I've burned through pretty much every Netflix special there is. So it's like I love stand up. I grew up watching, you know, Martin Lawrence and Chris Rock doing stand up, and I fell in love with it. So I've always appreciated stand up for, you know, it is an art form that people don't really think about. It takes a lot of skill and technique. It's the hardest thing that I do as well. You know, I do a lot of different stuff, and stand-up's hard, but it's like it's the most rewarding though too. So I love doing stand-up. I was just whenever I was out in LA, I got to do a couple shows while I was out there, and it was pretty dope. I felt like a legit comic. But
Nice. I'm fascinated by the similarities, given the 10-year gap between us and him. Like the movies, the movie theaters, the stand-up comedy. Like the interests are so connected, even again with that 10-year gap. You know, for him and I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for him, but like Carlin, Robin Williams, Lewis Black, like stand-up comedy, like that was the thing. Like back when it was like, you know, you pirate the MP3s, you have Napster and Winamp. Like that's what it was. It was Carlin clips just on rotation all the time.
Yeah, I'm a social Carlinist.
Yeah.
Carlin, Jeremy Hotz, Dana Carvey, Robin Williams. And now, Don't Be the Asshole, America. Who is that?
Jim Jeffries.
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah.
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as old school, I mean, I'm definitely Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, because, you know, that's what I grew up on. I remember the first time I watched the original, you know, Kings of Comedy, Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer.
I do
who
love
I've
Delirious,
met,
man.
multiple times as
Wow.
well.
Really?
Cool guys.
That's cool.
Yeah. Cedric the Entertainer used to get his haircut the same barbershop my dad did.
No shit.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the barber who owned the shop, he would fly out with Cedric to like movies and cut his hair personally too.
Wow.
Random fun fact.
Also, your early aughts comedians, your Patton Oswalt's, and
Yeah.
Beyond the Pale, and
Gaffigan.
the other guy,
The
I
other
meant
guy.
to be on the pale guy.
Jim
what's his name?
Jim Gaffigan.
Gaffigan. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
Gaffigan.
The other guy who has the skit about being the nerd and dragging the mattress under his car. What are you looking at, you dumb jocks?
I don't remember.
I can't, Brian Posehn.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've never listened to much
No,
of him.
Posehn is great, man.
Right now, I'm all about Aziz Ansari's my boy.
Oh, Aziz is great.
Big John Mulaney fan. Just met John Mulaney last month. That was
he
pretty
has-
cool. I got to see him do a show.
He has one of my favorite bits. I wish the hell he did not try and do the TV show. He tried to Seinfeld it up and it didn't work.
I did not see the TV
it
show,
was-
so I have no idea. I've
Okay.
only seen.
As somebody
His
who
stand-up
loves all of his stand-up, the TV show was horrendous.
Oh,
Horrendous.
Man, is it that bad?
Yeah. But no, he does one of my favorite bits when he talks about the jukebox and the song.
Oh yeah, no, because I have a real life story concerning a jukebox. I'm pretty sure some people just stole that bit.
Yeah.
They for the entire month of October, they played the Monster Mash on our jukebox like a billion times every time they'd come into our bar, and they'd like do it from the parking lot because you'd like have like the phone app.
Right.
So I was like, God damn it, this is like some John Mulaney shit right now.
So would it be rude of me so we've got about 14 people in the chat right now. We got me and him. Would you be able to do a little on the spot, short little give us some of your stand up to give us a taste of what you do?
You want some fucking jokes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Like I would love to hear, like, just throw it together. Do like a little like 2-minute spot, 3-minute spot.
Yeah, sure. I can do a few.
All right.
So all right. So I went to LA last month because that's where I'm planning on moving. So I went out to LA, went out, had a lot of beers and shook hands with people and shit. But I would always go out to coffee with people, you know, because that's what you do when you meet important people. You go out, you fucking have coffee, and you talk, and then essentially you get jobs that way through coffee. I went to this breakfast diner, and it has to be one of like the most offensive breakfast diners I've ever been in. So I fucking go in this breakfast diner, and I noticed it immediately. Like, LA, you think it's all hip and shit? No, segregation is like alive out there. Why do all the female servers, they got their nice blue shirts on and shit, and they're not doing like anything? They're just fucking taking orders. You got dudes, the barbacks or the bussers, I don't know what the fuck they call them. They're out there getting the waters, bringing the coffee. So all the servers, white, female, blue eyes, 20s. All the bussers are Mexican dudes in their 30s. All of them have all brown outfits on, top to bottom, brown shirt, brown pants, brown shoes. It's fucked up. That's not cool. They're the ones doing all the work too. But this like literally has to be one of the most offensive diners I've been to. The breakfast diner I work into, I've worked with people that like wear skirts and shit during their shifts. Like dudes wearing tutus. That's how accepting we are at our diner. Like this diner is not up to like that's not an LA diner. That's like some like Mississippi diner shit. That's a Texas diner maybe even. But that's not an LA diner. It's not cool out there. It's not as cool as you think it is out there. Should be a lot cooler. That's a random story I got from while I was out in LA.
Wear brown, you Mexican pieces of shit.
Like it is all brown. Like not even like like the girls like had black pants, blue shirts. Like no, the dudes were top to bottom brown. Like I was like, this is real weird. I feel real uncomfortable being
That's some
here.
Darien concentration camp shit, man.
That is
it's out there, man.
I wonder
it's that casual racism is what I call it. You know,
passive racism and classism all melded into one.
You know how many people like I'll introduce myself to people and to a table. I'll be like, "Oh, my name's DeVaughn. If you need anything," they go, "What, Jerome?" And I'm like, "What? No, that's not even close to what I said. What, Jamal?" I'm like, "These aren't even the same letters." I also get told I look like rappers on a daily basis.
No, you got to go in there all Totoro, man. I am the Deezus.
No, apparently I'm Gambino or Drake or Kid Cudi, depending on who you ask.
Are you fucking kidding
me? How can I look like all those rappers?
Where do you live? You live in Missouri?
I live in Springfield, Missouri. Yeah, the taint of the Midwest.
I love that. Like that you just named like 3. I was like, how the fuck do I look like all of them?
What the fuck, man?
Like so like me and my sisters were mixed and stuff, you know. And one of them, the youngest, she like looks like very white. She doesn't look black at all. Like not even a little. She just looks white. Her main like bit to me, she's 14 and she's savage as hell. Her main bit when we watch movies and there's like a skinny black guy, she just goes, she'll like tap me on the leg and she'll go, "Hey D, he looks just like you." Every single time. And that's why I feel like when people just tell me about these rappers, like every time.
So I gotta talk about it. And you can probably chime in if I don't do it, if I'm not accurate here. Okay, so we're talking about subtle racism. We're talking about stand-up comedy. So there's a Carlin bit. And I assume you've listened to Carlin.
I've heard some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not like an active listener.
Okay, so I had my first Carlin album when I was like 10 or 11. and just fell in love. So he had this bit where he was talking about subtle racism, and he was talking about phrases that people would use, and people that would claim to not be racist or not be sexist or not be homophobic or whatever, but they were phrases. You would say happens to be, right? I have a friend who happens to be black. And he would be like, oh, how he happens to be, huh? Like he had 2 black parents, and they fucked.
Oh, they did?
Oh, indeed, they did, yeah. So where's the happens to come from? Or where's the surprise come from? He goes, I would think it'd be more surprising if he happened to be Scandinavian. And then he talked about openly. And he'd say how people were openly gay. And that's the only group you use that for. The gay people are openly gay. And then he goes off and he goes, you wouldn't say someone was openly black. He goes, except for James Brown. James Brown was openly black.
Meanwhile, Colin Powell was openly white. He just happens to be black.
Right. So there was this whole bit. And Carlin, I tell you, man. Carlin, I can't talk about it without saying I wish he was alive to hear what he would talk about right now.
Oh, man.
It would be so great.
You know what? I was thinking about that the other day. I was watching some Carlin, and I think that Carlin was what tempered the country. He died, and everything went to hell.
Yeah.
You need him there as the reality check, and now everything is just becoming idiocracy. It's fucking nuts.
No. Carlin is such a big inspiration for a lot of my thought, like, the free thinking and opening the mind, like always questioning authority, always questioning the government, definitely always questioning religion. Carlin, growing up, again, I had
Unless it's Joe Pesci.
Or the Sun. It's like I grew up listening to him, between You Are All Diseased and Live from New York and or Live in New Jersey, Back in New Jersey, Back in Town. Yeah, You Were All Diseased was the first one I listened to, and I'll never forget it. And it's just like, hey, how's everybody doing? Good. Well, fuck you. Just wanted to make you feel at home. And that was the opening of the album. And I was a kid. I got it for Christmas. And it's such a way. And then again, Jim Jeffries does a decent job carrying that torch into this generation with Carlin of having passed away. But
yeah, I think Trevor Noah's kind of touching into that as well.
Trevor Noah's
stand-up special, and then what he's been doing with the Daily Show.
It's funny. I've just kind of started getting into the Daily Show with him at the helm. Last week tonight took over for the Daily Show for me. But again, I don't know. I don't know if it took a while for Noah to find his footing or I just lost track. I don't know what's going on with that show, but I just started getting back into it.
Yeah, no, the first couple episodes, were a little shaky. I think he just needed to get his footing because, it's a little different, but I like it though because I love his stand-up special. His first stand-up special, African America, is amazing. So I was a big fan whenever he hopped on.
Do you think it's just because he wasn't Stewart? Like almost very similar to maybe the way
like when you talk about fucking shoes to fill,
well, not only that, but Brandon's a big Doctor Who fan, and there's a meme for the cycle, when there's a new Doctor, it's like, oh, they'll never be as good, and oh, okay, he's growing on me, and then when they're replacing him, it's like, no, how can you replace him? There's this cycle, and it's the same idea. I remember when Stewart started.
Yeah, I miss Craig Kilborn.
I was like, how the fuck is this guy gonna replace Craig Kilborn?
Yeah, I remember that.
You
weren't even born yet.
Yeah, you weren't even born.
I wasn't.
And Kilborn was great. And then Stewart came in and just fucking rocked everybody. And then him and then Colbert. And my God, I haven't watched much of it. I watch clips on YouTube and stuff every now and then, but am I happy that Colbert is actually playing the Colbert character on his night show now?
Is he?
Because they didn't at first.
I knew it was tanking really
and he
bad.
tanked. Yeah. Well, no, once Trump became the headline, they're like, yeah, you need to go political. You need to.
Yeah, it only makes sense.
Yeah. But that, and then again, like I mentioned, Lewis Black, fuck.
Oh, how could I have forgotten about Lewis Black?
Fuck is a comma.
Suck a bag of dicks.
Yeah. Oh, there's another one.
Whole bag of them.
Louis C.K.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Who did you just say?
Lewis Black.
Oh, yeah, Lewis Black. A Starbucks across the street from another Starbucks.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, no, Louis C.K., man, a bag of dicks. Yeah, I like his
I'd even say Dave Chappelle was kind of one of those voices, too.
Chappelle, Yep, Chappelle was a big part of it. Then he went nuts. Now he's back. I don't know. How is he now that he's back?
Back.
Yeah,
I
his
saw
new
him
specials are
live. He
great,
came
man.
to Springfield, and he's doing good.
Is
And
he?
his specials on Netflix, they're
Yeah.
solid too.
Nice.
But like I got to see him in person, which was fucking amazing.
Nice. I'll
He's one of my biggest inspirations as well. But he's still got it. He's not as edgy as he used to be.
yeah.
No, it's
He's
more.
kind of toned it down a little bit,
Yeah,
but
there's-
I mean, he's still good.
There's a lot of parental jokes there. The joke about the jersey with
Does he have
Kevin
kids?
Hart, that was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was hilarious. I thought
Kevin
that was
Hart
one of his
bit?
funniest ones.
Yeah, it was good, man.
That's someone that I never
Yeah.
like. I like him. I like him as a side character in movies, but I don't like his stand up. Kevin Hart. Like
I'm not big into
See,
Kevin Hart.
I'm the opposite. I love Kevin Hart's stand up, and I hate him in movies.
what was the one
I
he
do
was
not
in?
like Kevin Hart movies at all.
What was the one? Central Intelligence with The Rock. Like I thought.
Yeah, it's fine.
I thought he was funny in that. And The Rock was great.
The Rock is hilarious.
Oh,
in
The
that
Rock
movie.
is amazing, and he's amazing in every movie. He's a
Oh,
great.
he's
he's a
perfect.
great actor. Baywatch comes out on digital on Tuesday, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, I hope you like him because he's our next president.
Oh, that would be so cool.
I would so rather
the
have
thing-
him as president.
The
Yeah,
thing,
me too.
the
Me
thing
too.
We all
is,
would.
the thing is he has like, okay. Here's why it would be cool. Because it would be cool to have The Rock as president, but we won't get The Rock as president. We'd get Dwayne Johnson as president, and he would like. Sure, there would be some pokes to like, well, it doesn't matter what you think, things like that. You know what I mean? But it's not going to be. Yeah, I mean, you have the most charismatic.
So you'd
the
be
most-
disappointed that he'd take it seriously?
Yes, because the one we have right now isn't. So why should he have to?
Well, for all we know, this is our last round of shows before the nuclear war starts. So
Oh yeah, right.
Hey, well, Dwayne's got to go through President Yeezus in 2020. Where do you think I get my inspiration from?
So, I read it. I don't want to go political, but what somebody said. There was a post somebody put on it. Like they're not gonna. Fuck! It was something. One of my Russian friends put on Facebook was like, they're not gonna nuke us because we have something. I don't remember what it was. It was trying to be funny. I don't remember what it was.
you know what's funny is all those people that want to start wars with us. All of their dictators live an American lifestyle while the rest of their people starve. So what do they really have to be mad about? Like they just want to emulate the American way of life.
I don't want to go politics.
Fuck me. That's enough. That's enough. The show is over. Fuck this.
We are coming up just about on that hour and a half mark, so we will get ready to kind of round the corner and wrap up. I'm just kind of skimming the email right here to make sure that there was nothing that you wanted to talk about that we didn't do. So you had mentioned in the email, which I realized was back in February.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, a lot of stuff has changed since that email. It kind
Yeah.
of cracks me up. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Like,
But you
I
did.
like it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was gonna say
No,
you.
it's like I'm getting like a half lag too,
No,
so
it's-
it's like
it's
also
Hangouts,
I'm
it's
like
all good.
waiting a sec. But mainly like yeah, since that email, like that's whenever I actually like started like kind of moving forward with things finally. Like as
Oh,
far
cool. Yeah, I've
as,
noticed.
writing more and stuff, and
I've noticed you. You blow up on social media. Like you're always places. Like you're always taking pictures with people, and you seem to go to a lot of conventions and.
yeah, I have this like I've been a server for years, so I mean I'm pretty easy with talking to strangers and networking with people. But I don't know, I have this weird knack for like meeting people and like kind of being in like the right places at the right times with things. And then so like I got into I went to a film festival and like I got into that, and then after that it kind of snowballed to getting into like more events and doing stuff like that, and then writing for my website now as well as other websites now too. So yeah, no, I don't know. I have this weird knack for just being in like the right place at the right time and then being like, oh, hey, let me get you a coffee. Cause like I said, that's what they do. And that's pretty much what you do in LA. You find people and then you get coffee.
I always thought getting a coffee together in LA meant something else. Grand Theft Auto has lied to me.
Now let's keep in mind that that's how this whole thing started, was us getting a coffee together.
Oh, that's true. It's funny.
Boom.
No, it's funny because him and I.
We've known each other for 20 years almost. And it was, a period of excommunication between the two of us. And then, I don't remember what happened, but we ended up going to Starbucks. And you know what happens when you go to Starbucks? podcast.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
hash shit out.
No,
you
we
go to Starbucks, you hash shit out. That's what happens.
Yeah, it was what, January of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was like, fuck it, let's just get a coffee. All right, let's get a coffee. And then we went, and I was like, yeah, I do these podcasts. He's like, oh, come check it out. I was like, yeah, come check it out. And came and checked it out, and it was what, like not even 2 weeks. And maybe 3 weeks, and Sonics and Sabers was off the ground. The wrestling show was off the ground. Like, there were just so many ideas, and yeah,
There still are.
yeah, there still are. But yeah, no, it was over a coffee. So
Be careful. Next time you guys get coffee, you guys are like moving in together.
Hey man, what did I say at the beginning of the show? Power bottom.
and it's all come full circle.
And that's your show. Good night.
It's the end of the show. I gotta turn a light on.
Yeah, we got. So that's before we do the full reveal. Let's check out the art. I like it. It's
I
cool.
dig it.
It's very cool. Don't
All
forget
right,
your
hold on one
popcorn.
We switch back and the light is on. With the correct glasses. Is that... Are you trying to make prints? What's going on?
Sorry, my mic was off. But yeah, I did some research too.
I thought you might have.
All right. So there's there's Hugo's rendition.
Woo! It's obviously in a movie theater. Going to see a movie.
Yeah, I like the banner and the popcorn. That's nice.
So Deezus has left us. There's the light. I'm wondering if this is going to take 3 days.
Now it's back.
Is this going to take 3 days?
And I'm here. I'm a real person.
There he
Deezus
is.
is a human
Risen.
being.
Deezus has risen. So there's the art.
What is up?
There's
So
the
the art
reel.
is pretty close. He must have saw like a recent picture because the hair is new. This is a different color.
He said that he did some
I'm
research.
like Ramona
Yeah,
Flowers. I change my hair a lot.
I like it. It's cool. It works.
Yes.
Well, we will
This is
make
the review.
make sure that you get a copy of that art.
Yeah, I was about to say I need that. I want it.
Yeah, it's something that Hugo does. He's been absent the last couple of weeks, but that's typically the thing is he'll hang out with us and chime in occasionally, and then and do the artwork. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad I got to be on for Hugo's return.
Hugo's resurrection.
Yeah.
Yep. Revelations.
Why don't you let everyone know where they can find your shows, your stand up, your everything that you do?
Yeah, the easiest place to find me is one on Twitter because I literally am on Twitter all the time. So follow me on Twitter at Deezus12. The podcast Twitter is at Deezus Take the Reel. And then you can pretty much find like all the things that I do, reviews, blog, podcast stuff, you name it. It's all on my website, which is deezus.org, Deezus. And then, like I said, it's got my reviews for geeks and gamers. It's got I do a blog called Deez Thoughts where I do like mini reviews. I do mini movie pitches as well. And it's got links to the podcast and stand up. So those are the easiest place to find me, and Instagram at Deezus.12.
Very cool, Hugo. Thank you for throwing those links up in the Twitter or the Twitch chat there. Awesome. Hugo is on top of it.
Oh, Hugo rules.
What a nice producer that we have. Yeah, so as for this show, you can catch this show live every Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/InkGeekStudios. If you can't catch the live show, then you can find it wherever quality podcasts are found. Or maybe shitty podcasts. I don't know.
Mediocre at best.
Our
Who's
next
to say?
Our next guest is going to be next week, and it will be Joey Baronico from the podcast Hexes and Bows. So be sure to tune in and check that show out. That'll be a lot of fun. If you enjoyed last week's episode with Zenger and then the episode from last season with David Ginsburg, Joey is another recommendation from David to come on the show. So right in that geek gamer comic book wheelhouse. So it should be a lot of fun to have him on as well. We want to thank Deezus for taking the time to come on. This was a lot of fun, dude. I appreciate the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was definitely a great way to spend a Friday night for sure. Had some good conversation. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, of course. A big thank you to our live chat room for hanging out and participating. As always, you guys totally rock. And for those that hung out right from, I mean, again, it's always like that 3.5 to 4 hour mark, starting All Geeked Up around 8 usually, and then with Mind of a Geek. So for everyone that kind of treks through, any of the new followers or people that are hanging out with us, if you want to toss us a like, if you liked what you saw, we wanted to kind of also announce. We mentioned it on All Geeked Up, so again, if you've been here since 8, you will have known. But this Sunday, with Brandon and myself, we've got Movie Busters unveiling live right on this channel at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, the movie hasn't been fully decided yet, but we'll get there. Follow Movie Busters Pod on Twitter, or Movie Busters on Facebook, and once we decide, we'll make the announcement there so you can hang out with us. Be sure to catch myself and future Indie Case File co-host of mine, Amy Frost, on Else Nerds this coming Wednesday, August 16th, at 9? 9:30. Corey in the chat might be able to chime in on that better. And then we will be unveiling our new show, Indie Case Files, on the 21st. I don't do dates. Yeah, 21st, which is the Monday following, where we will be reviewing and talking about Don't Starve Together. So it'll be a fun episode. Look at Hugo again with the links. You rock, dude.
Fine.
So again, thank you to the live chat room. Deezus, again, thank you for taking the time. It was a lot of fun, dude. I hope we get to chat again soon.
Oh, we will for sure. I'll definitely make sure I get you guys on my show.
Appreciate that. Sounds like a lot of fun. For Deezus, for Brandon, for Hugo, for myself, and for the rest of IG Studios, thank you all very much for listening, and we will talk to you guys next week. You've been listening to an Inked Geek Studios podcast. For this and other great shows, go to inkedgeekstudios.com.